Human Rights Commission's inquiry into that unrest just adjourned a short while ago until Monday. The Minister of Defence and Military Veterans Thandi Modise concluded a testimony just a short while ago. She gave some details about deployment of soldiers and how challenges, and what kind of challenges are there. She'll be back at the inquiry at a later date. Now, reporter Mawande Kheswa is following the story and is joining us now this hour. Mawande, it's been pretty an interesting day today at the inquiry by the Human Rights Commission. We've seen the likes just a short while ago of the Defence Minister Thandi Modise, who was the Speaker of Parliament at the time of the July riots. We've also earlier today heard from the Premier of KwaZulu-Natal, Sihle Zikalala, and also the Premier of Gauteng, David Makhura. It's been a pretty busy day.
Yes, indeed, Brad, and it has been quite a busy and long day. As you say, those three figures did appear today, the first being Sihle Zikalala, Premier of KZN, who kicked things off. One of the notable things that he spoke about, number one, was his role as the Premier leading up to the riots, during and after. Now, he says that when they look at intelligence, they didn't receive any information from security forces. The information they largely received was information that they flagged on social media, upon which they took that information then to the country's security forces, starting off with the provincial MEC for Community Safety and Liaison, who was part and parcel of all the visits that were made to the affected sites when the Minister of Police was here. In most cases, his line of communication, if not there, would be through that MEC, and that is Umampeki Nkonyeni. And so that's what he says his role was, and the role that he played in ensuring that, number one, the information they received is given to the relevant authorities. Number two, that they are on the ground to try and speak to people engaging in the unwanted acts of rioting, looting, and so forth. And you will recall we even saw a clip of the Premier taking a swipe at a young boy or a young man who was looting. So indeed, he did clarify that he was on the ground and that was part of his role. He also spoke of an issue around the history of violence that is attached to the province, saying that that is still something that needs to be addressed because it was at play here. He also spoke to the correlation of the two provinces in Gauteng as well as KZN, in that when KZN does cough, Gauteng as well is also affected. So you would have seen that there was indeed a spillover. He also criticized the response as well as the under-resourcing of those security agencies, particularly the SAPS. While he says that they were trying their best, they were overstretched. And at times they would even confide in him, saying that at this point in time, really, our hands are tied in terms of, he says that there was a lack of water cannons. There was a lack of police in particular areas, because while they're dealing with this, another case comes up. The Premier of Gauteng, David Makhura, also came to the fore. He said something quite similar to that of the Premier of KZN, saying that most of the information they also received was on social media. He too took it to the relevant agencies, and it is him as well who then decided to speak and write to the President requesting assistance from the military. At that point, he says the military being deployed did make a difference in terms of managing the situation on the ground. We then heard from the current Minister of Defence, Thandi Modise, who also clarified the role of the military once it's been deployed, saying that when they are deployed, they are there to assist the police, and therefore it is the police really that are in the forefront, that gives the instructions in terms of the supports that they need from the military. They cannot act on their own. They are there to supplement and assist the police, just as the Premier of Gauteng stated that police needed reinforcements, they needed assistance, and that is why he then made that call to the President to say, could you please look into deploying the army?
Yeah, and of course, Mawande, this is the this is an inquiry by the Human Rights Commission because, I mean, there have been concerns by them that there was a lot of brutality or allegations of brutality that were committed by law enforcement agents, including soldiers. I wonder if any of that was touched on, for example, by the Defense Minister. What did she have to say about that?
In terms of the brutality, I'll start off with what the premiers had to say. And KZN Premier Sihle Zikalala made it clear that when he looked at the police on the ground, they had live ammunition and they did not have rubber bullets or any other form of mechanism that would not be part and parcel of lethal force, and therefore they were unable to engage, primarily based on that public order policing weren't enough, and the deployment of the public order policing did take quite some time. So those who were first responders couldn't really do much. They were overwhelmed. You're having a situation where, for an example, there may be 10 police officers versus 300 people looting and so forth, and therefore it would be quite difficult for them to engage. And there were those reports, as you say, of some people alleging that they received unfair treatment from the military and the police as well. And I am aware that a lot of those are being investigated, and it's something that may also come up during the commission, the inquiry, trying to find out the facts of what exactly happened. And there are those who have already testified, speaking of their harrowing experiences during that unrest.
Okay, now next week is going to be a third week. As they were wrapping there a short while ago, Mawande, they were saying that they'll give us, the media, some details. Did you get any sense of who might take the stand? We know, of course, that the Defense Minister will come back on another date. She did say she'll be willing to continue at a later date. But do we know what's going to happen come Monday?
It's not yet clear, but I think that we will get that information not too long from now to get a sense of the coming week as to what does it look like, who are we expecting from Monday throughout the week. So we will definitely keep tabs on that one and be able to furnish our viewers with that information.